Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to Healing Trauma. Thank you very much for joining today. So I'm going to be sharing with you about trauma, and we're going to be looking at why understanding and healing trauma is so very important to our lives. So let's begin, shall we? In this talk today, I'm going to be talking about the 3 stages that we all have to go through in order to heal trauma. In my work as a therapist over the last 20 years, I've come to understand that really all of us are affected by trauma, and also all trauma can be healed in our mind. So today I'm going to show you exactly how this can be done. So let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Nick, and I'm a hypnotherapist. I've spent the last 20 years helping people to heal emotional pain, using an integration of all of my life studies. I have an honours degree in artificial intelligence, postgraduate training in clinical hypnotherapy, and I'm a practicing Tibetan Buddhist. I basically bring these 3 different disciplines together into a practical system through which I teach people how to understand their emotions and how to heal their emotions in their mind. If I was to be asked to say the most important thing that I would like to share with you today, it's actually that there's nothing wrong with you. You see, every single emotion which you feel is there for a reason. Your emotions are not a sickness. We just all have to learn how to understand our feelings, and particularly how to understand the relationship between the way that we think and the way that we feel, the way that we feel and the way that we think. Or in other words, we have to learn to understand the relationship between our mind and our hearts. I teach people to understand their emotions, teaching what I call the art of inner relationship. And I work as a therapist here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and also offer a range of workshops and personal development courses as well. The focus of my work recently has become on relationships and trauma, because I understand that all of the trauma that we have not resolved from the past will arise particularly in terms of our relationships. Everybody wants to feel safe and loved. We all want to feel accepted exactly how we are. And I think a great amount of our trauma arises in our relationships, something which we're going to be speaking about today, of course. I'm passionate about understanding human consciousness. I'm passionate about studying different forms of spiritual teachings, because really for thousands of years, humans have been looking for the answer to a few core questions. The first question is, how can we find happiness? How can we feel loved? How can we feel accepted? How can we find peace? And the second question we might say is, how can we find purpose? So to this end, I've spent my life studying many different spiritual systems. This is one of my teachers right here, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And I've really come to understand, after having worked with thousands of people over almost 20 years now, that every emotion is created in the mind, and every emotion can be healed with the mind when you understand how. So I'm excited to share more with you today. I teach a path that I call the art of inner relationship, which is really about looking at how do the emotions that we feel inside of us contribute to what is happening outside of us. How can we learn to shift our focus from the external world to the internal world? How can we find a new way to respond to the challenges of our life, and actually to understand the emotional structure behind it all? And a big part of the art of inner relationship, of course, is actually about learning practical ways to heal emotional pain. I run a therapy clinic here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I'm also a consultant therapist for Shiva Som, a world-class health resort located in the south of Thailand. And I'm a master level member of the British Society of Clinical Hypnosis. So just a little bit about me. I've been studying hypnosis since I was a child, actually. I was deeply affected by trauma myself. I think all of us have had experiences that kind of like form our childhood and the emotional structure of our whole life. And for me, my first experience of trauma was actually the separation of my parents. I was so anxious as a child that I couldn't even say my name. I used to stutter chronically. Until that is, I actually found what became the most important book of my life. One day I was guided into a second-hand bookshop, and I was led across this bookshop and found my very first book on hypnosis. Within 2 days, I learnt how to talk. I discovered a way that I could rebuild myself from the inside out, a way that's been so profound for me that it really shaped the entire path of my life and led me to do what I do today. So I understand that behind everything in our life is emotion. Every behavior that we engage in is a reflection of the emotions which we feel. So if you can be in control of your emotions, then you can be in control of your life. And really, hypnosis is a bit of a mysterious word which conjures up a lot of ideas for people. But on a very practical level, it's about understanding the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, the ways that people react towards you, your experience of life, and how that itself forms our beliefs, which create the way that we think all of the time. So I'm going to be explaining many things to you today on a practical level to help you to understand so much more. Like most of us, I had my past with difficult relationships, trauma arising in relationships, coloring my experience and leading to those relationships failing. Well, today I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and my relationship is a place of conscious love and growth, where we explore all of the feelings which arise together from a place of ownership and permission, and actually help each other to find that acceptance where we can heal emotional pain through the lens of relationship. Something that, as I continue my presentations online, I'm going to be sharing so much more of. So, what you can expect to learn. Firstly, I'm going to be explaining the biggest myth about trauma and the actual truth. We're going to be looking at the 3 essential steps that you need to take in order to heal trauma and to find peace. And of course, I'm going to be sharing the most valuable thing which you can do today in order to progress in your own path of personal healing, because we are all on a path to heal emotional pain. We are all looking for peace, we are all looking for love, and we can all find the happiness that we deserve. So if anybody's still on their phones, it'd be wonderful to share a story on Instagram and just to tag me. Thank you very much. So, I'd like to make a promise to you today. I'm going to be helping you to understand exactly what trauma is and also exactly how you were personally affected by trauma. I'm going to be showing you the 3 core steps that you need to follow to heal trauma, and I'm going to be introducing you to a clear path that you can actually use to work through any emotion in your life. In return for all of this, the only thing that I ask you is to stay present. It'd be wonderful if you can turn off distractions and be asked to be left alone for the duration of this talk, so you can really focus on this important information that I would like to share with you today. And of course, I'd like to ask you to please listen with an open heart. I'm going to be sharing some different perspectives, some different ways that you can understand many, many things in your life. So just see how all this feels to you. And it's wonderful as well to give yourself permission to actually believe that there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you at all. Every emotion you feel is for a reason. Every emotion is created in your mind, and every emotion can be healed in your mind as well. So let's continue. You're really in the right place if you feel ready to expand your awareness, if you feel ready to learn about your emotions, if you feel ready to learn more about life and more about love, if you feel ready to learn about your heart and learn about your mind, and to really learn the things that you should have learned in school, because what's more important than your happiness? I believe that all of us are on a path to learn about love in this life and to learn how to bring happiness and balance into all of it. You're in the wrong place if you want to believe that there's something wrong with you. You're in the wrong place if you want to blame other people for how you feel. And of course, you're in the wrong place if you're not interested in personal growth. And you're really in the wrong place if you believe that your emotions are a sickness, because your emotions are most certainly not a sickness. Your emotions are parts of you communicating your needs, and every part of you deserves respect and love. I'm going to begin to teach you an entirely new way to understand your emotions today. So you can let me know, actually, if you would rather feel as if the present is somehow controlled by the past, if you're somehow doomed to keep repeating patterns from the past again and again, or if you would rather find emotional freedom, which is healing. Find a sense of inner control, find a sense of inner balance, and begin to enjoy loving and conscious relationships. And as you stay with me for this talk, I'm going at the end, of course, to be sharing a group hypnotherapy experience, which is kind of like a guided meditation, where I'm going to be showing you how to create extremely warm and positive and confident feelings today. So stay with me. So let's begin by having a look at the difference between the myth and the truth. The myth is the idea that what happened in the past happened, that there's nothing that can be done about what happened in the past. You're somehow doomed. That's kind of set in stone. Those emotional marks are going to stay with you forever. The truth is that all trauma can actually be healed safely and effectively in your mind. And I'm going to be showing you the path for exactly how to do this today. So let's begin by looking a little bit deeper. So this is a journey of how to heal trauma. And we're going to be going over these 9 steps today, actually. So this journey, I'm going to be spending the most of the time in this talk on this first step. It really begins with actually feeling emotionally out of control. Have you ever experienced a time in your life where you felt that you were not in control of your emotions and even not in control of your behaviors? Have you ever experienced as if your life just felt out of control? Maybe feelings that arise in relationships which is so strong that you can't have any sense of control over your behavior. So going from this state, we come to the first step of how to heal trauma, because the first step of how to heal trauma is actually to learn what exactly trauma is. It's amazing how few people know exactly what trauma is. The next step in this journey is to understand our personal trauma. How exactly did trauma affect you personally? The third step in the journey is to recognize your triggers and how the emotions you feel today, how many of them actually relate to unhealed trauma from the past. Moving forward from that, we go to the next stage in the journey, which is to develop resources. It begins with emotional education to learn about our feelings, and then to equip ourselves with tools and with techniques so we can actually possess ways that we can work through emotional pain. From there, we clearly define our support mechanisms and take the steps to grow them and strengthen them, or even to create them because they're important. And from them, we go into the process of change, which actually involves changing your focus from the world outside of you to the world inside of you, as you learn to focus on your feelings firstly, begin to express what you're feeling in a new way secondly, and practice new responses thirdly. So we're going to be looking at all of these steps as you stay with me for this talk. Stage 1, awareness. To understand exactly what trauma is and how trauma personally affected you. Stage 2, resources. Developing tools and resources for working through emotional pain. And step 3 is change. Bringing awareness and resources together as your life changes, beginning from the inside out. It's a valuable journey, so I hope you stay with me. Let's begin with awareness. Understanding trauma. I've discovered a very simple definition for trauma that I actually share with all of my clients in therapy. Trauma is any event in your life in which you did not feel safe, which still holds an emotional charge, if you think about it today. What this means basically is if you close your eyes and you remember a difficult time from the past, you can just notice the feelings that come into your heart. If there's feelings of anxiety, sadness, anger, in fact, any difficult emotions at all, then that is your emotions communicating that that time in your life has not been healed and it's still actually affecting the feelings that you feel now. Everybody's had the experience of going through a difficult breakup and being in a time where if you were to close your eyes and think about that, then the emotions you felt would have felt extremely painful. And now, if you close your eyes and think about that person, hopefully there's no feeling at all. This is how we know if we've healed a trauma from the past. So our emotions actually communicate what traumas have not been resolved when you learn a clear way to work through them. So these times of trauma often relate to moments of change. Moments that we didn't feel safe, which affected the status quo of our lives. And trauma can also relate to moments when other people's emotions did not feel safe to us as well, particularly parents. So, every moment of trauma that we experience, it's basically a feeling of emotional shock. And when there's this moment of emotional shock, there's a kind of protection which arises as a way to keep us safe. If the emotional intensity of what we experience is stronger than our ability to process our emotions, then what happens is that psychic content, that emotional content, if you like, actually gets filed away inside of us, waiting for a time in the future to arise so that we can actually heal that emotional pain. Repressed trauma can actually cause loss of memory, it can cause feelings of dissociation in your body, and of course it creates emotional patterns. Many of the emotional patterns that you experience today are the result of unhealed trauma from the past. And really, every single trauma can be healed in the mind, safely and naturally. Many people's entire lives are affected by trauma that is never healed. Emotional feelings which arise inside of us and which repeat again and again and again. The same feelings that you felt in the past that arise in your relationship today. The same feelings from the past that limit the choices that you can make in your career, and so on and so forth. We actually see the world through the lens of emotion. So the emotional state that we are feeling affects the way that we perceive and react to everything that's happening around us. And a lot of those emotions, which I like to look at as almost like a pair of glasses that we see the world through, are actually caused by unhealed trauma. So trauma can affect our entire experience of life. And of course, the emotions that we feel, they also have a very strong effect on how people respond towards us, because we all feel each other's emotions. And there is no time at all when unprocessed trauma does not arise more than in the context of our intimate relationships, because the purpose of relationships is healing. Who has not experienced feelings from the past arising in their relationships? Who has not experienced incredibly similar emotional patterns arising in their relationships? Who has not experienced incredibly similar stories arising in different relationships? It's quite incredible, really. So unprocessed trauma will arise in relationships because one of the deepest wounds of all that we all have is somehow this deep feeling that we're not quite good enough. And one of the deepest desires that we all have is this deep desire to be loved and to be accepted exactly as we are. So, relationships, very fertile ground for healing trauma. In order to experience conscious and loving relationships, we have to learn about our feelings and we have to work through those feelings. Something I teach people every day, what I like to call the art of inner relationship, of course. Trauma is responsible for how we project into the world as well. If you're experiencing an emotion inside of you, there's only a few possible responses that you can actually engage in. The first of those is to project your emotion. So something happens in the world, for example, and I feel angry, and that makes me speak in an angry way to people around me. The second of those responses is actually to internalize our emotions, which is actually to keep that emotion inside of us, which is going to affect how people respond to you, but you're going to feel somehow out of alignment. Another response that's possible in a moment of being emotionally triggered actually is to try to change the people around you so that you can feel better. Because if you believe that other people are responsible for how you feel, then you're going to probably try to change them. And that's not going to feel good to them. Who has not experienced somebody trying to change them in their relationship so that they could feel better about themselves? And which of us has not experienced trying to change other people as well? I think true relationships, true love is based on acceptance and accepting and understanding people exactly as they are, because this is a really core gift that everybody wants to experience, the gift of love. So moving on to explore trauma, contagion. Emotions are contagious. We feel each other's feelings, and unresolved trauma is actually passed down generations as well. Each of us inherited positive and negative emotional traits from our family. We learnt emotions as well as behaviors from our parents, and of course, ingrained emotional patterns as well. So whatever we don't process in terms of healing our own trauma, whatever we don't process in terms of coming to a state of peace in the world, will be passed on to our children. And this is something which has been happening for generations. I often work in my therapy practice helping clients to process residue effects of World War 2 generations ago. It's a fascinating process. So trauma is actually passed from one generation to another. We have personal trauma, we have family trauma, which can be like genetic trauma, we have cultural trauma, and of course, there's a whole global trauma as well, something which is very relevant today, of course. And finally, trauma. Well, trauma can actually cause illness as well. Repressed emotions, which are trapped in the body, cause a general feeling of dis-ease, a general sense of being out of alignment. Trauma can create all types of physical illnesses. Heart problems, very common, cancer, very problem, and more as well. In fact, there's an emotional component to every disease. So when you work through the emotions around the disease and also unresolved traumatic emotions from the past, it's extremely helpful for the body's process for coming back into wholeness, which is healing, coming back into alignment. So all of this is step one, understanding what trauma is in a general sense. Step two of the journey, of course, is actually to begin to recognize your own personal trauma. How did trauma affect you personally? What were times in your life in which you did not feel safe that still hold that charge if you think about it today? How was your life determined somehow or structured by emotional experiences in the past? What was your personal trauma? In my course, How to Heal Emotional Pain, we go deeply into how we can create an emotional map of your entire life experience. It's actually the process that I guide my clients in therapy, so you can come to a much deeper understanding of your own personal trauma, and also to understand in what order you should resolve the emotions from the past, because actually all of those feelings are related together. This is why I bring aspects of artificial intelligence into therapy and emotional awareness. And this is how I can help people to so quickly resolve traumas safely and naturally in your mind. Like I said, any memory in your life from the past, you can just close your eyes and you can notice how it feels. And as you close your eyes and notice how it feels, then that's going to tell you if that memory is being processed or not. You could ask yourself, when do these same feelings arise in my life now? When do I feel exactly these same feelings? You could also look at this question the other way round, of course. If you were to focus on something happening in your life now and close your eyes and focus on the feelings, one of the steps in the journey, then you can ask yourself, when have I felt these feelings before? Or you could ask yourself the golden question, which is, when was the very first time I felt these feelings? In hypnotherapy, I guide clients to remember the origins of emotions, emotional memories, which are unresolved, which created emotional patterns. And it's amazing how quickly those patterns can be resolved and what a fast and immediate effect that has on people's lives without the need for any medication, without the need for months of therapy, without the need for drugs, of course, as well. There is a use for drugs in an occasional way, of course, but I believe that most emotions can be healed in the mind, that there's a safe and natural way to heal emotional pain. Healing our own personal trauma, building your emotional map, understanding the structure of the human psyche, understanding your personal structure of your life, knowing which traumas affected you and which traumas to resolve first, because there's a knock-on effect between them. Very interesting to begin to see exactly how our entire psyche was actually structured together, and to find the perfect points to focus our own emotional healing. So that's step two. Step three of the journey is about awareness of your triggers. I love the word trigger. A trigger is any person, situation, or place which creates a change in your emotional response. And of course, when we're talking about triggers, we're usually talking about negative change in your emotional response. As you become aware of your triggers, you're going to begin to notice that every single moment when you experience a difficult emotion is actually an opportunity for healing. And as you become aware of your triggers, you're also going to understand more and more that the people in your life who make you feel those feelings are not responsible for your feelings. All of our feelings are ours. And a great deal of the emotions that we feel today relate to unprocessed trauma from the past. So every moment when you're triggered is actually an opportunity to practice and resolve emotional pain. So become aware of your triggers and welcome them, because as we move forward in this journey, and as you learn all of the skills you need, you'll be able to use every difficult moment of emotion as an opportunity to heal more. So, moving forward, from awareness, we come forward towards resources. Resources begins with emotional education, learning about our feelings. Moving forward towards tools and techniques, and then moving from there towards defining support mechanisms. So let's explore more. Emotional education. Let me ask you a question, or ask you to ask yourself a question. How much did you learn about emotions in school? What did you learn in school about your feelings? What did they teach you about emotional skills like forgiveness, visualization, even meditation? How did they educate you in human relationships? If you're anything like me, they did not teach you anything at all. And I think that as there's nothing more important than our happiness, and happiness itself is our natural state when we do not feel the presence of painful emotions, right? Happiness is our natural state in the absence of emotional pain. Then we need to understand our feelings so we can actually work through them. Because when we understand our feelings, then we actually can understand our life in a much deeper and wiser and more compassionate way. So in this step of the journey, we really want to learn everything that we can about our feelings. Read books, attend webinars, watch YouTube videos, even go to workshops. Because everything that you learn about your emotions is going to help you in everything in your life in so many ways. I think there's very few things which are more valuable than emotional education. Knowledge is the power from which you can really affect change. Moving on from emotional education, it's about learning and practicing tools and techniques. Tools and techniques are basically ways to work with your emotions. And we could talk about external tools. We could also talk about internal tools. Examples of external tools are simple things like going for a walk or a run, art or journaling, any kind of writing processes. Internal tools are things like meditation, visualization, affirmation, NLP processes, basically conscious ways that you can actually work through negative feelings, and also conscious ways that you can create positive feelings. How wonderful would it be to know that you can create positive emotions at any time you choose? Really something special. Because then you can work through all of your emotions from a place of safety and love, the fundamental emotional states that you need to heal emotional pain. So this is step 5, learning tools and techniques. Because when you understand your feelings and learn tools and techniques, well, now you're beginning to have the basis through which you're able to heal painful emotions. Step 6 is about defining support mechanisms. Support mechanism is fundamentally knowing who can you reach out to and ask for help. Who is it safe to contact and ask for support when you need it? Because asking for support is a sign of consciousness and strength, and asking for support is something that we all need in different moments in our life. So please think about this. Please think about who are your support mechanisms. We could be talking here about family, we could be talking about friends, and of course, we could also be talking about professionals as well. Perhaps you have a certain member of your family who's always been there for you. Perhaps you have certain friends that you feel safe to share your deepest feelings with. And perhaps you can even begin to define your support mechanisms by actually giving other people the support that you would like to receive from them. It's almost like an emotional bank account. When we are there for other people, then other people quite naturally want to be there for us. So defining support mechanisms is extremely important to know who you can reach out to in difficult moments, and also, as we're going to see, to be able to reach out in a different way, from a place of ownership and from a place of permission as well. Building your support mechanisms. And also, of course, what goes along with this is knowing when it is time to ask for professional help as well. Alongside the idea of support is just to remember how important it is to actually ask for support from a place of permission. Ask for support from a place of ownership as well. Fundamentally, you could reach out to somebody that you're close to, and you could say, to be honest, I'm having a difficult time right now. Would it be okay to talk about it? It can be as simple as that. Permission is such an important step to take when it comes to resolving emotional pain. So, many things we're speaking about in this talk today. Professional support. A trained therapist is somebody who's armed with the tools to help you not only heal trauma, but to work through any emotional situation in your life. And when you work with an appropriate therapist, then the intensity of those emotions will become less, which might make it more safe to be able to talk to other people in your life as well. So one aspect of this step is to know when it's appropriate to reach out to a professional for support. I've helped people to resolve emotions that have been with them for decades in merely a 1.5 hour therapy session. And many other therapists have done the same thing as well. So please open to that possibility of knowing when it's a good idea to reach out to appropriate professional help to get the emotional support you need. And of course, this is also a big part of emotional education as well, to actually be guided through different challenges in your life. So, back to the journey. Awareness, resources, change. Let's go to the third part. Because when we bring together awareness and resources, well, then actually we naturally create change. And change is what everybody is interested in. We all want to lead more happy and abundant and peaceful and enjoyable lives. We all want to enjoy conscious and happy relationships. We all want our children to be emotionally nourished. So let's go into change. Step 7, focusing on the feelings. This is fundamentally a change in perspective, and it's such an important change in perspective. And it goes like this. Do you focus on the world outside of you, the world of people and things and happenings, or do you focus on the inside world, the world of thoughts and emotions? So this step actually teaches to practice focusing on the world inside of you, to focus on your feelings, because in any difficult moment in your life, you could focus inside and ask yourself a simple yet very important question. When have I felt these feelings before? Do these feelings relate to unprocessed trauma from the past? When have I felt these feelings before? Have I felt these same feelings in other relationships? When have I felt these feelings before? Have I learned these feelings from a parent or from a partner? When have I felt these feelings before? When you focus on your feelings, then you can apply your emotional education and the tools that you've learned to work through them. And as the world is a reflection of our emotion, it's fascinating because when your emotion changes, the world is going to change as well. That's right. When your emotion changes, the world is going to change because people feel each other's feelings. Everybody feels relaxed with people who are relaxed. It's almost common sense, this part. And people feel anxious with people who are anxious. I had a time in my life when I suffered from really bad depression, particularly in my early 20s. And when I was depressed, I just felt so distant from everybody. Even my closest friends couldn't spend time with me. I had nothing to say to people. And people felt somehow awkward being around me. And as I worked through my own depression, as I healed the trauma which was at the root of it and learned how to make choices which were aligned in my life, I became happier inside. And then I began to attract all different types of people and situations into my life because the world is a reflection of our emotions. So focusing on the feelings is wonderful because you can actually be in control of every emotion you feel. When you have the proper emotional education, you have the proper tools, and you know how to practice them in proper ways. Because your emotions are not a sickness, you only need to learn how to work through your feelings. Every part of you deserves respect and love. And as you focus on your feelings more, it's going to open up a whole new way to relate to the world around you. And one part of that also is you're going to be able to focus on other people's feelings. Something I often teach my clients. Rather than focusing on the behavior, focus on the pain. What this means is we see somebody in our life who's behaving in an inappropriate way, somebody who's wronged us, for example. And when we focus on their behavior, it will trigger emotional responses inside of us. But if we're able to focus on their feelings, if we're able to imagine that we can see the emotions which they are feeling and remember that just like us, they've experienced trauma. Just like us, they want to feel safe and loved. When you focus on other people's feelings, then their behaviors are going to make so much more sense. And quite naturally, when you focus on other people's feelings, you're going to feel a deeper sense of compassion as well. The more compassion and love we give in the world, the more compassion and love we receive back as well. So, moving on to step 8, safety and dialogue. When we have this emotional education, tools to process our feelings, support group, we focus on our feelings, we're going to find that we can actually work through a lot of the intensity of our triggers, and we can actually talk to everybody else in a different way. We're going to be able to speak about our feelings and relate to the challenges in our life from a much calmer and more present space of being. So this is step 8, which is extremely important to be able to talk about the things which matter with the people who are important to you in a way that facilitates connection and growth. And this is really going to help you to build intimacy in your relationships, to deepen connections with the people that you care about. And also, as you find a way to share feelings from a deep and inner connected place, you're going to find that other people are going to accept your feelings so much more as well. And as I've learned helping thousands of people to heal emotional pain over the last almost 20 years now, every emotion which is accepted will naturally begin to transform. So safety and dialogue. This is step number 8, which moves us quite naturally onto step number 9. New responses. Practicing new responses. Every moment you're triggered, pause. Take a moment to breathe. Maybe close your eyes. Focus on the feelings. Ask yourself, when have I felt these feelings before? Ask yourself, what would it mean to respond to this? Now, response is extremely different from reaction. Reaction means something's happened, I have this feeling inside of me, and I react to that feeling. I project that feeling. My behavior, my words, my tone of voice is actually just a reflection of the emotion that I'm feeling, and actually often an unconscious way to escape from that emotion. And that projection of emotion creates a certain way that people respond to us as well. Response is very different. Response is to hold the awareness in presence. Response is actually to hold that emotion in love. And ask yourself, what does it mean to respond to this? Do I need to practice some self-healing, some meditation? Do I need to communicate some needs to somebody? Do I need to work through this with a therapist? Do I need to have a conversation with a friend? What is conscious response? What does it mean to consciously respond to every challenge in our life from a place of wisdom? What does it mean to use every challenge in our life as an opportunity for growth? Because I understand that every emotion we feel is actually an opportunity to heal emotional pain. That healing itself actually follows feeling, and life will manifest exactly the right situations to trigger exactly that unresolved pain from the past. So every opportunity of feeling pain is actually a blessing. Practice new responses. Because every time an emotion becomes triggered and you're able to hold that emotion in awareness and you're able then to practice a new response, well, actually the intensity of that emotion will naturally become less and less each time. And guess what? You're actually healing trauma. Because we can heal trauma in the past, like I do with regression processes in hypnosis and many other forms of therapy, EMDR and all these different techniques. And we can also heal trauma in the present by responding in new ways. Or we can actually work with both. Every step of this journey actually supports each other. Each of these steps supporting each other, each of these steps empowering each other. So this journey is a reciprocal process, working through all of the challenges in our life, one challenge at a time. So this is the journey of healing trauma. So if anybody would like support in this journey, I offer personal therapy sessions, of course, both in person at my clinic, and I also work online as well. I believe, and I've experienced, that really 90% of traumas can actually be healed in one single therapy session, something that I've dedicated my life to studying since I was 13 years old. So if anybody would like some personal support or just to ask me a question over email, then please feel free to reach out to me. All of my sessions, by the way, are divided between talking about the problem and doing something about the problem. So half the session time is counseling, and the other half of the session is what I call active inner work, guided hypnotherapy, and so much more, bringing together all of the things that I've studied in my life. And for people who would like personal therapy sessions to be a lot faster, or for people who would like a system that they can follow from home, I'd like to share with you something exciting before we enjoy the group meditation process together today. So it's called the How to Heal Emotional Pain Masterclass. And I've spent the last 18 months creating this because it's really important for me to get this core emotional education to as many people as possible, because it's really important for me to help people. So the How to Heal Emotional Pain Masterclass consists firstly of the How to Heal Emotional Pain course. This course is actually, I like to say, the emotional education that you should have received in school. It's a roadmap for working through any emotional challenge in your life. It's a standalone system of emotional education that will help you to be able to face anything. It's the knowledge you need in the actual content of the course, and it's also the techniques and the practice to bring that knowledge into your heart through the guided meditations that accompany the course. So each of these steps is going to guide you step by step for working through any challenge as you learn a completely different way to view your entire emotional life. One of the most important things that I've learned in my practice over the years is actually that healing is a change of perspective. So as you follow the course, you're going to learn how to work through your emotions using your mind. It's going to teach you the awareness that you need as you learn how to build that emotional map and learn how to face one issue at a time. It's going to give you the resources, the emotional education, the practical tools, and it's going to help you feel equipped to be able to support yourself for working through anything as you bring change into your life, feeling safe to explore your feelings, changing your focus from the world outside of you to the world inside of you, and it's going to show you how to find emotional freedom in so many ways. It's really exciting. Of course, it's going to equip you for this journey. And anybody who would like to do private sessions with me, if you follow the course first, then of course our sessions will be quicker and even more effective. So the course itself consists of 7 modules for working through any emotional issue in your life. The 7 core steps of the roadmap, really learning about what emotions really are on a much deeper level, learning how to understand your needs and your parts, and how to get every part of you working together like a team, learning how to focus on your feelings in a profound and practical way, taking responsibility for all of your feelings as you learn a new way to relate to the world, understanding your mind, because your mind can heal every emotion, of course healing the past, and taking your life as practice. 7 core steps which are backed up by 7 meditation processes to bring this into your life. And of course, there's the workbook as well. So the workbook accompanies the course. I usually sell the course for $497 and the workbook for $197. The workbook itself is equivalent to months of personal therapy. Self-inquiry processes that are going to teach you so much more about yourself as you use your mind to heal emotional pain. People who've completed the workbook have a new way to understand everything. And as a special bonus accompanying the How to Heal Emotional Pain course is the Emotional Power Pack. In a moment's time, you're going to experience the power of real inner work when I do the guided hypnotherapy with you, and you're going to experience just how quickly you can consciously access positive emotional states. So the Emotional Power Pack is free guided hypnotherapy processes for building the most important emotional states to heal emotional pain. The first one is safety. If you don't feel safe, then your body will communicate through anxiety. Creating safety is the basis of all therapy. The second is love, self-love, how to create self-love, because all love begins inside. And the third is confidence. 3 processes for building very powerful emotional states inside of you. So I usually sell the Emotional Power Pack for $197. And as an extra bonus with all of this is also the Healing Trauma talk. It's an hour-long talk which I gave, but it goes further than what we've spoken today about trauma, where I particularly go into the nature of the psyche and the directives of the subconscious. So as a bonus to people who've come to the webinar today, I would like to thank you all for coming. I'm offering actually the course and the workbook, and also the How to Heal Emotional Pain, the Emotional Power Pack, and the Healing Trauma Talk. I'm offering $891 value of processes, which I normally offer to people for $497. I'm offering it today for only $97 because I want to get this out to as many people as possible. And I also want to thank you for your time, for having stayed with me for this long. So just an opportunity for you as well. You can read more about the offer at the link down below on this page. And as all of my processes, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. If for any reason you find this is not for you, if this content doesn't do what I said it does, then no questions asked, I'll refund your money within 30 days. So you really have everything to gain and nothing to lose, because I'd love you to try this. I spent the last 1.5 years developing it, as I say. So here's the link as well for the How to Heal Emotional Pain Masterclass. This will give you so many of those essential tools that you need. So before we finish today, I would like to show you the power of active inner work, because I'm going to guide you in a hypnotherapy process. So I'd like you to begin this process by just getting comfortable. I should explain to you that you're going to be completely in control for this process. You're going to be listening to the sound of my voice. I'm going to be asking you to just follow what I say, to imagine the things that I say, and I'd like you to know that you could wake yourself up at any time. If anything's uncomfortable for any reason and you would like to wake yourself up, then you could do so simply by counting from 1 to 10. It's kind of like a guided meditation, really. So, if you would like to experience some really positive feelings now, I'd like you to get comfortable. Maybe sit with your back straight if you can. If anybody has particular pain in their back or particular physical problems, you're welcome to lie down as well. It's just easier to focus if you sit up straight. And as you prepare to go inside, I'd like you to just gently open your eyes. You might feel interested for what you're about to experience. You can gently focus your eyes on a spot right in front of you. It could be any spot at all. It could be the corner of a picture frame, any spot at all. And as you begin to focus, I'd like you to please become aware. You are safe and in control. You can take a deep breath and you can breathe in through your nose. You can take a deep breath and you can breathe out through your mouth. And all of the while, you can feel comfortable and secure. And as you feel more comfortable with each moment, comfortable and secure, relaxing more and more, comfortable and control. All of the while, I'd like you to please close your eyes and imagine, just imagine, that you can breathe in comfort and you can breathe out stress. It might feel good to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And as you breathe comfort all of the way in and breathe stress all of the way out, I'd like you to know that in a moment's time, I'm going to say the word love. And when I say the word love, here's what I'd like you to do. Every time I say the word love, I'd like you to please take a deep breath and imagine that you can relax every muscle in your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Do this now. Love. And you can continue to breathe slowly and deeply all of the way in and all of the way out. You can feel comfortable and secure, and every time I say the word love, you can enjoy another wave of relaxation and feel twice as comfortable. Love. All of the way deeper and deeper. All of the way safer and safer. Love. Love. And your breathing is soft and gentle. You're feeling comfortable and secure. And I'd like you please to imagine that in front of you there's a door which is made of light. The other side of that door is a place of love. Now that place might be real, that place might be imagined, any place at all that you can feel safe now. And I'd like you, of course, to walk through that door, feel safe now. And imagine you go to a safe place in your mind. It's as if the air is somehow calm and comfortable, as if the air is somehow healing. And as you breathe softly and deeply, love, I'd like you to know, you and I and everybody have many parts. And every part of you deserves respect and love. There's a part of you which is a child. And the child part of you lives inside your heart. The child holds all of the memories of the past. The child, the emotional part of the mind. I'd like you to open your heart and imagine the child floats outside. The child is connected to your heart by a cord of light. And as you feel safe to invite that child in front of you, it's interesting because you can notice their age and breathe out and send love from your heart to the child. And breathe in as the child breathes out. Love. Strengthening the cord between you. Love. Feeling stronger and more confident. Love. Feeling happier and more secure. You might even hold the child's hands and look the child in their eyes. The part of you that has emotional needs, the part of you that holds all trauma inside. And of course, all trauma can be healed with love. As you breathe between your hearts, breathe out as the child breathes in. Breathe in as the child breathes out. Love. And I know there's a part of you that already knows how to look after the child inside. You can talk to the child. You can listen to the child. You can play with the child. You can hold the child as well. And as you continue to go deeper and deeper and feel safer and safer, you can feel that child with more and more love. And all of the while you're breathing softly and gently. You're breathing gently and softly. So much love. So confident now. So much love, confident and secure. So much love now. Safe and confident, full of love. And as you hold that child, I'd like you to know that in a moment, it's time to come back to the normal waking state. But when you awaken, you feel so much lighter inside. It's wonderful to notice how light and confident you feel, confident and secure, full of love. You might even feel the child part of you smile inside, light and confident. Confident and full of love. as all of the while a deep part of your mind reminds you to keep breathing deeply and softly, even after this session. You might already understand that the child is the emotional part of your mind and the adult is the logical part of you. The adult is your thoughts and the child is your feelings. And now that you understand this, you naturally talk to yourself positively and with love. And as you continue to talk to yourself positively and with love, you continue to feel better with each day, confident and secure. Better with each day, safe now. Better with each day, safe inside. Better with each day, so full of love. And as you smile inside, the world smiles back at you. As all of the while you continue to feel so much love deep inside. So much love deep inside. So much love deep inside because it's time to bring these good feelings back with you. I'd like you to invite the child back into your heart. A place you can keep them safe inside. And smile as you breathe all of the way in and all of the way out. And come back to that door. Because as I count from 1 to 10, you come more awake. And as you come more awake with each number, you continue to feel happier and safer, safer and happier. At the count of 8, your eyes open. At the count of 10, you're fully wide awake, feeling wonderful now, full of love. 1, 2, 3, waking up, 4, 5, 6, waking up, 7, 8, open your eyes, 9, 10. Welcome back. Take a big stretch, everybody, please. I hope you enjoyed this process. Just the beginning of healing your emotions with your mind. So I would love to hear from people how they're feeling in the chat. I also see there's been some questions as well. So let me take a moment to just answer these questions. Of course, it's fine to post anything about this event online, absolutely. And Carol's question, at what age do we personally recognize that we have a traumatic experience? This can happen at any age, I feel. I think everybody's lives are unique, and it's not like anybody follows a predefined program. Hopefully, we become aware of our emotions and seek to resolve them in a real way, rather than going through life blaming other people for how we feel, trying to change people, going from relationship to relationship. I think we're all affected by trauma. This is why I've decided to share this event with everybody, because no one teaches us about the trauma that we are all affected by. There was one more question. Everybody's going to receive a replay link from this event. You'll be receiving an email in a few hours' time, which has that information. Please feel free to share the replay with your friends as well. I would like to get this out to as many people as possible, to help as many people as possible. So, thank you so much, everybody, for having attended today. And I wish you all well. Let me know if you have any questions about anything which I spoke about today. And please feel free to email me if anybody would like to have some personal support and do some private work together. And if you have any questions about the masterclass as well, of course. I'm just going to pop my email address down here in the bottom of the chat window. So thank you very much, everybody, for having joined today. And I wish you all well. Goodbye.